MSNBC takes major steps toward complete independence from NBC News as corporate breakup looms. Introduction. In a historic corporate restructuring, the cable news network MSNBC is making a decisive split from its longtime corporate sibling NBC News. This move marks a significant milestone in a divorce engineered by parent company Comcast, which is spinning off the majority of its cable networks into a separate publicly traded entity named Versant. MSNBC's full operational independence is expected by the end of October, setting the stage for a new era for the network. The corporate split Versant and the new alignment. The impetus for the separation comes from Comcast's larger corporate reorganization. The company is dividing its assets, with the majority of cable networks including MSNBC, CNBC, USA Network, Oxygen, Sci-Fi, and the Golf Channel being spun off into the new company, Versant. Meanwhile, NBC Universal will retain the flagship broadcast network NBC, NBC News, the NBC News Now streaming service, Telemundo, and Bravo. This separation formalizes what has long been an internal tension: the editorial divergence between the traditionally objective tone of NBC News and the increasingly opinion-driven, liberal-leaning programming of MSNBC, particularly in its primetime lineup. The decision to separate the two entities is ultimately aimed at allowing MSNBC to set our own course and assert our independence, according to a memo from the network's leadership. Operational independence. The October timeline. The split is not merely a corporate paperwork exercise, it has immediate and tangible operational consequences. The most recent and significant steps toward independence have been rolled out on a tight schedule. October 6, this date marked a major operational shift. Any NBC News staff who accepted new roles at MSNBC were officially transferred to the cable network, no longer reporting for NBC News platforms. Crucially, MSNBC also began following its own new set of standards guidance for the first time in its nearly 30-year history, moving away from alignment with NBC's regulations. Furthermore, MSNBC largely stopped relying on NBC News correspondents and crews for general coverage on this day. October 20, this is the target date for MSNBC to achieve near-total operational independence. By this point, the network will no longer rely on NBC News correspondents or crews for any field coverage. It will also complete its full operational distancing from the Washington, D.C. bureau, a move that will see the MSNBC D.C. employees relocate to share a floor with their CNBC colleagues before establishing their own permanent office space. After this date, MSNBC will no longer participate in NBC News-led editorial calls or meetings, effectively operating entirely independently. The brand rebirth. MSNBC becomes MS Now. To further solidify its break from the parent brand, MSNBC is undergoing a significant rebrand. The network, whose name is a portmanteau of Microsoft and NBC from its 1996 founding, will be changing its name to MS Now. New name. MS Now stands for My Source News Opinion World. New logo. The new branding will also see the removal of the iconic NBC Peacock logo, which Comcast will retain for the NBC broadcast network and its properties. Versant has confirmed that all spun-off cable networks will redesign their logos to remove the peacock imagery. The CNBC exception. It is notable that sister channel CNBC will retain the NBC in its name, as it has historically maintained a greater operational separation due to its business focus and its long-standing full name, Consumer News and Business Channel, along with international licensing agreements. Implications for talent and resources. For years, MSNBC relied heavily on NBC News's resources, including correspondents, field crews, and even sharing prominent journalists. The divorce requires MSNBC to build out a fully self-sufficient news-gathering operation. Hiring spree. MSNBC has been on a significant hiring drive to staff its newly independent news division, recruiting dozens of journalists for roles in news gathering, digital, and audio. Talent migration. While some high-profile NBC News personalities like Steve Kornacki will remain with NBC, a number of journalists who often appeared on both platforms, including Jacob Soboroff, Vaughn Hilliard, Brandy Tsadrozny, and Antonia Hilton, have permanently transitioned to MSNBC. New autonomy. The independence means MSNBC will no longer have to compete with NBC News for reporting resources from the field, allowing the cable network to focus its new, dedicated news-gathering team on content for its liberal and opinion-focused audience. Conclusion. The corporate breakup, orchestrated by Comcast and expected to be completed by the end of 2025, represents a fundamental shift in the landscape of American cable news. The recent operational steps mark the formal end of the decades-long reliance between the two networks. MSNBC, soon to be MS Now, is asserting its independent identity, both editorially and operationally, moving forward with its own news division and standards as it competes in an increasingly polarized media environment. The coming weeks will see the completion of the operational split, finalizing MSNBC's transition from corporate sibling to fully independent competitor.